Hello and welcome to Colorado Career Connectors. We are just getting people in the main room and we're so excited to have all of you here today. We are going to be focusing on the hiring manager's perspective, but also the recruiter's perspective from a military, spouse, and veterans perspective. I am so excited on who we have with us today. So this will be recorded. We're just admitting a few more people in the room. I have Yvette Bell here with me. And my name is Chelle Johnson. Let me share my screen and we will go ahead and get started. Can everyone see that okay? Awesome. Okay. Today we're going to be talking about the hiring manager's perspective. And we've got three amazing good friends of mine who I've worked with in the past that I have kept in touch with since my corporate days that are experts from a hiring manager's perspective, military perspective, technical recruiting perspective. And you're going to hear from people from Raytheon, Zendesk, and DocuSign. If I haven't personally met you, I would love to meet you and I welcome you to Colorado Career Connectors. If it's your first time here, go ahead and put your LinkedIn profile in, even if it's not your first time here. We are a community with a mission to increase opportunities for Colorado's diverse and inclusive workforce. We welcome people of all education levels, sexual orientation, minority status, etc. And a special welcome today to our military spouses and veterans and those who care for them. I left corporate America in 2019 and I started my own business. It's called Best You Career Advantage. And I saw an opportunity in the market where job seekers could have more access to very high level speakers and the heads of talent and HR and hiring managers from Fortune 50 and small to medium sized businesses. So what I do now is I help badass leaders just like you to unleash your professional and career edge. And I do that through communities like this, through speaking and podcasting. And I'm also a recruiter. So I'm not just a coach and the founder of Colorado Career Connectors, but I'm a recruiter as well. So I see all aspects of the job market, professional development, career development, and we're super, super excited to have all of you here with us. But we are a community and we know that this is the lunchtime. If you can put yourself on video, we don't care if you're wearing pajamas. It's Monday, it's all good. Welcome Janet, Trish, John, Edson, Lynette, Lisa, Derek, Jenny, Killian. And Jolene, if I didn't mention your name, we're super excited to have you here today. Welcome. My partner in crime is Yvette Bell, and she is going to be monitoring the chat. We're going to make sure that we answer as many of your questions as we can. We love for these sessions to be interactive, participative, and these sessions are very candid. We're going to be honest with you. We're going to be authentic. There's kind of a no holds barred mission that we have because we know that you need to hear the truth and what it really is like from the hiring manager's perspective, what it's like to be moving from military, active military, or if you're a veteran or you're a spouse, how do you move into a civilian corporate role or in a small company? Yvette, do you want to introduce yourself and say anything? You're on mute.
I am. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you all today. So glad you're all here. I never really know what to say. I'm happy to know you all and be part of this great network. And as always, I have a little plug to please go to cocareerconnectors.com and subscribe because I am always working on adding new things, new features. There's always something coming. And do please email me. You can send an email to hello@cocareerconnectors.com if you have any ideas, suggestions, feedback, comments, something you want to see. Really open to suggestion. This is your community, and just really love to hear it from you guys. So I'll let you take it over, Chelle.
Awesome. We don't just support and give out information on our events, but we have events from the community. For example, tomorrow's Aerospace Day at the Colorado Capitol. There's different aerospace companies that are going to be there. That's a different way for you to get to know people that are hiring. So if you're involved in aerospace or interested in seeing what the many aerospace companies in Colorado have to offer, that's something that you might want to look at. And as she stated, definitely subscribe. We've got a whole sponsorship page out there where we highlight our sponsors, and we are growing and growing. So our agenda today for you is, I'm going to highlight one of my clients who also is from the military. He'll be speaking in just a moment. Then we're going to have corporate presentations, starting with Zendesk, followed by DocuSign, and then from Raytheon. And then we will have a little bit of Q&A, but we really want you to all stay throughout the time from until 1:30, because about 1:05, we're going to do breakout rooms where all of you can actually meet the panelists, talk to them about what openings they have, talk to them about what their thoughts are on different questions. These are recruiters. Jim has written a book for military on how to transition. He is a senior director and actually has openings on his team. So talk to the panelists and please stay. That is why we're here. You guys ready to get started? Yes? All right. I love all of the video. Again, we like interaction. Put your LinkedIn profile out there. Let us know what you're looking for. Let us know how we can help you. And please, please be interactive, participative, engaged, and stay for the breakout rooms. Okay, I would like to introduce you to one of my clients who I just began working with about a month ago. And I met Lawrence about a year ago. And I'm so lucky that he's in my network. Lawrence, why don't you take it away and tell us about yourself and what you're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Lawrence, but I'm an established operations and sales professional. Currently, I work at Stryker as a patient care account manager. And what I do is I either save businesses millions of dollars or I make businesses millions of dollars. Right now, I'm looking to transition into something that's going to create more work-life balance with some scalability and upside to lead people or drive bigger projects. What I'm most proud of is in my current role, I recently just sold the entire portfolio to a critical access hospital in Cortez, Colorado. So they will be the first hospital in Colorado, but also the first critical access hospital in the country to have a level of patient care that's unprecedented. And the military, how it helped me was it refined my work ethic. It gave me the attention to detail. It further instilled the drive that I naturally have, and it allowed me to lead people in austere conditions as well as stateside. And then what helped me as I transitioned into a civilian role was hiring our heroes. But even as you transition out of the military and you step into the big wide world, you don't know what you don't know when it comes to a career. And so, looking to find that kind of forever home that I can scale up. And Chelle has been incredibly instrumental in not only do I work out, but the mental workouts that she's been helping me with and those sorts of things in the transition. I couldn't be more thankful to have reconnected with her. And I'm very, very excited to be here with you all today and look forward to talking with you in the breakout rooms.
Awesome. Thank you, Lawrence. So as you can see, we have top talent here, and we know that that includes you in our audience. I see over 18 comments in the chat. Lots of interaction so far. Thank you so much for that. Jim, I'd love to turn it over to you. Jim Vandermeer and I know each other because we worked together at Comcast. I led Comcast technology or talent acquisition for Comcast Technologies, and I had the honor of working with Jim Vandermeer at the time. And I saw through LinkedIn a couple of years later that he wrote a book. So I was like, Jim, hey, remember me? And we connected, and this is how we are now bringing you this content. So Jim, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Shelley, and thank you for the opportunity. I definitely love teaming up with you again, because this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. So really quick, if I go back 15 years, I was approached by a couple of veterans who were struggling with their transition. And if I look back 25 years when I got out, there was nothing there. So I made a commitment to start helping veterans. And, over the time, over the last, 15 years, continue to helping them. And about 6 years ago, somebody jokingly said, why don't you write a book about this? And so 6 years ago, and now fast forward 800 hours later, I actually put into this book. This is my commitment to helping veterans make the transition. I'm not going to profit off this book. Matter of fact, I'm giving all the proceeds of this book to groups that help veterans. So this is my, my Jerry Maguire, help me help you type of motivation with veterans. And so this is something I spent a lot of time, but the big thing about the book is it's from the hiring manager's perspective, really taking a look, because that's what I've been doing for the last 15, 20 years, is actually hiring great talent, building phenomenal teams, and most recently doing that at Zendesk. So really quick, just a quick overview of Zendesk. I don't know how many people are familiar with Zendesk, but we're really champions of customer service. If you used any online type of interaction with reaching out to customers, a lot of household names out there, you're probably using our product today, which is what we do, is we provide the capability for our customers to better service their customers and deliver the best experience in that case. I joined Zendesk about 2 years ago and started out building a team from scratch, starting with 0 technical account managers. Now I'm passing 33 and growing within 2 years, and scaling a business from 0 to $28 million in recurring revenue in that short amount of time. So it's been a phenomenal success. So, and in addition to that, I'm also a prior Navy veteran. So that's where I spent my time. And I also devote a lot of time with other groups in terms of helping them out with transitioning veterans. So a little bit about Zendesk. So again, we're a SaaS platform that provides our customers with a whole suite of capabilities for them to interact and engage their customers and provide the best customer experience for their customers in that case. And really what we've done is develop this platform from the start in terms of being SaaS. So it's been a SaaS platform. It's been on the web from the very growth. Next slide. So a little bit about Zendesk. So when I joined Zendesk 2 years ago, we were just passing about 4,000 employees. Now we're 5,900 employees in 16 offices. We have about 112,000 now customers in that case. It's originally headquartered in San Francisco, but as you can see, this is worldwide. Zendesk is in every market and every continent. With customers in that case, supporting probably close to 40, 50 different languages for our customers. Next slide. It's a little bit, so I always laugh because it sounds like a joke, which was 3 Danes with a desk back in Copenhagen in 2007 that started this company. And 2009, they actually moved it to San Francisco, got venture capitalist funding, hit the 1,000 customer mark. And then in 2014, they went IPO and $100 million run rate. Now we're a 1.3 billion and growing company with, again, over 5,000 employees worldwide, and headed towards that 3 billion mark in that case. So phenomenal growth, as I mentioned, just let alone in the last 2 years, we've hired almost 1,900 people and continuing to hire in that case. Next slide. So one of the things that I love about Zendesk is the culture and really the inclusivity and diversity. They really embrace all the different communities. There's employee communities for you name it. At Zendesk, I'm actually getting involved in the Global Veterans Network. I was involved with that organization at Comcast and really looking to help veterans globally. We have folks that are on active duty, folks that are in Eastern Europe right now dealing with the challenges. We have employees in Eastern Europe dealing with the challenges of that situation as well. So we're definitely helping those. And that's really Zendesk's philosophy is be engaging, and which we have a phrase here called humbledent, which is being humble but confident, employees first, customers first type of thing after that, and really, embrace our customers. For example, during the pandemic, a lot of our customers on the small SMB side, commercial, were struggling with contraction, their business is slowing down, and Zendesk just jumped in there to help out and actually really embrace these customers and help carry them through a lot of that transition, which was great. So next slide. So again, we actually have over 500 positions available. Definitely go out, check the jobs at zendesk.com. You name it, we're hiring. Please reach out to me. Happy to make introductions, referrals into the various hiring managers. Again, we're heavily looking for folks, a variety of different, positions. In that case, most of the organization is remote. We transitioned to remote during the pandemic, and we've really continued that way going through, and will remain that way. So it provides flexibility as well as options for people to join the team from anywhere you live. So with that, I'll pass back to you, Shelley.
So I know some of you on the call, it says customer success, senior manager, program management, business development. Absolutely, that's some of you on the call. So I really hope that you will engage with Jim. Next up is Theda to talk about DocuSign.
Hello, hello. Can I just say ditto? Because Jim and I have very similar companies. Is actually kind of interesting. So I'm excited to share some of this. All right.
Theda, you want to give, you want to do it, right?
Please.
Yeah, Chelle, you'll have to stop sharing.
Okay, done.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thanks, Chelle.
No problem.
Oh man. All right. So ditto to everything Jim said, pretty much when it comes to our company, very similar to Zendesk. But my name is Theda Johnson. I've been in talent acquisition and HR for the better part of 15 years. More specifically, in the last 10 years, I've really concentrated on military recruitment and strategic recruitment, meaning building the recruitment strategies and programs and policies that go across Fortune 50 companies to make that inclusive environment for military service members in the military community, meaning their spouses and so on and so forth. So that's kind of been my bread and butter for the last 10 or so years. Currently, I'm a senior technical recruiter for DocuSign, and I'm actually building our military recruitment program here at DocuSign. We have an ERG, which is phenomenal, but we don't have anything in place. So I'm super excited to build that recruitment strategy and program from a military standpoint. But we do have the ERGs. We are very, for lack of a better word of saying it, military friendly. I always like military ready. I think there's a big difference between that. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about DocuSign. When people think about DocuSign, they think of just the e-signature, right? Full transparency, that's what I thought when DocuSign approached me to come work for them. But it's way, way, way more than that. It's a lot of different things. We have a million different products that help support that agreement cloud and that e-signature, among other things. Much like Zendesk, we started a few years back and have grown tremendously, but we'll get into that in a little bit. These next two slides are just a little bit about other things that we do at DocuSign, other than just the e-signature when you buy a house or when you're signing medical records or things like that. It's e-signature to CLMs, to Insight that analyze all of those things. There's negotiation tools on there, all kinds of different stuff when it comes to DocuSign and the products that we have here. If you want to learn more about everything that we do have, you're more than welcome. And I encourage you to go to DocuSign.com and /products because it's really eye-opening. It really is. It'll definitely change your thought process when you think about DocuSign. So when we talk about the things that we offer here at DocuSign from an employment perspective, a lot of people think, oh, it's just software developers, right? Because they have to create all of the wonderful platforms that support that e-signature, but it's so much more than that. This is a very big, or not very big, but a small to medium company that has grown tremendously over the last few years, much like Zendesk. 2019, we were just over 2,000 people. As of the end of 2021, we were at almost 8,000. So we have grown tremendously over the past few years. But it's really interesting about how our culture has stayed the same, and we'll talk about that here shortly too. But from an opening standpoint, we have multiple openings across all 11 verticals of the business, from legal to customer success to those IT software engineer roles to finance, and even to the people and social responsibility teams. So that means that we're looking for not only SaaS savvy software developers and engineers, but also the legal individuals, also the SaaS savvy sales individuals, which we seem to have a lot of people on the call with that experience today, and marketing and so on and so forth. So lots of different opportunities within DocuSign, and we're all over the world. Again, ditto to Zendesk, right? The vast majority of our employees live here in the United States, but we are global. We are all across the world. So one of the things that really drew me to DocuSign was, again, much like what Jim was talking about, was the culture. So I have my entire career has been in huge companies. If you see me on LinkedIn, it's been from Verizon to Comcast to, Amazon, the whole nine. But the culture is really what spoke to me here. And much like what Jim was talking about, our culture is to be trusted, to be loved, and to be responsible. And those are things that our COO really, really hammers in and makes it and ensures that that is a focus of what we do every single day. Another big thing that we do is work for our life. It's not just what we do at DocuSign. Our life is much bigger than that, and that's ingrained in our everyday culture and is supported from our CEO down. So those are the things that really brought me to DocuSign when it comes to work-life balance perspective, when it comes to what's important to me and the things that I want to do outside of my career. And if you see this, you very rarely see this on Glassdoor reviews, right? So pretty awesome place to work if you ask me. Again, just kind of piggybacking on culture, we do have ERGs for almost anything. The military ERG here is called Honor. Super excited to be working with them and partnering with not only our internal ERG, but also some of my networked connections that I have over the past 10 years to kind of build that military recruitment program. But very, very big on diversity and belonging. So as always, if you want to learn more, I highly, highly encourage you to do so. Here are some links that I'll be glad to share if you want them to look into not only our culture and what people are saying about us, but also the career development and the leadership that we all know is so, so important for everybody. So excited to talk to you. Thanks, Chelle.
Sure, Theda, thank you. Okay, let me share my screen again. And Tony, you are up. So Tony, why don't you share your screen?
Yep.
Tony is a good friend of mine, and we met when I started hiring our heroes program for Lockheed Martin Space here in Colorado. Tony got in touch with me through LinkedIn, and he told me about this program, and I'm like, free apprenticeship with the military? Let me figure out how to get that going. And that's how it started. Tony, go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Anthony or Tony Gilbert, and I am a retired Army guy. So go Army. I've got a couple of Navy people in the call that are making this difficult for me. But I'm retired Army. I retired in 2016. And like Chelle said, I used the power of LinkedIn, and I connected with her and explained the Hiring Our Heroes Corporate Fellowship Program, which was basically allowed to military your last up to 6 months of service. To do an internship, you're still paid by the military. So I was pitching the program, and Chelle was like, that looks awesome. So I was Lockheed Martin's first corporate fellow. And I really do believe that my fellowship and Chelle's drive to bring me on is what started the fellowship across the whole defense industry, the fellowships for all the defense. Because Lockheed Martin started, and then here comes your other companies, defense companies doing it. So I think that Chelle and I really started something wonderful in 2016, and it just continues to grow. So I always tell everyone that I owe my career and where I'm at to this day to Chelle and everything. She, gave me an opportunity. But my last job before the Army was Lowe's Home Improvement at 17. So I went from that to 37, 38 years old, looking for a new career, and Chelle gave me that opportunity. So very thankful. So with that opportunity, I went to Lockheed Martin, spent 4.5 years there where I was a recruiter. I was a talent acquisition manager. Before I left the company, I was the military relations manager in charge of our enterprise-wide military recruiting efforts for Lockheed Martin. And about 7 months ago, Raytheon Technologies recruited me, and they wanted to create a military relations program very similar to what we had inside of Lockheed Martin. So I love creating new things and being part of that. So I took the opportunity, and have created a very robust military recruiting program for Raytheon Technologies. So very excited to be here. We'll kind of talk about the company a little bit if you're not familiar. If there's any veterans on the call, I'm sure a lot of this stuff looks familiar to you. Pretty familiar. So we'll go through this stuff. I don't want to bore you to death, but if you don't know what Raytheon is, we're an aerospace and defense company. We basically, we build weapons, we do a lot of different things, but mainly defense support. So if you've heard like Tomahawk missiles, Javelin, any of your combat systems on any of your submarines or naval ships like Aegis, those are all things that Raytheon has a part of. So some of our key capabilities, this is kind of some of what we do. The thing in the middle is really cool. It actually kind of flies around in space, and it detects ballistic missile threats, and it shoots them down, or it actually intercepts them. So they from space, and they take them out. It's pretty cool technology. And then on the far right, that's actually a weather satellite that we develop. And on the left is one of our engines from one of our business units, and that kind of leads me to our next slide. So these are our business units. So back in 2020, we merged with United Technologies, and so the original Raytheon company was Raytheon Intel and Space, and then Missiles and Defense. So we merged and brought in Collins Aerospace and Pratt & Whitney. So Pratt & Whitney does a lot of your jet engines and things like that. And then Collins does a lot of like cockpit displays and a lot of cool stuff, commercial and military. And Intel and Space and Missiles and Defense really focus on, most of our customers are all going to be Department of Defense. So with this merger, we became an extremely large company. So we are 181,000 employees across the world. We have people in Poland, all over UAE, Australia, Canada. We're a global company. And by 2025, Forbes has estimated that Raytheon will be the #1 defense contractor by revenue, ahead of Boeing and Lockheed Martin, because of our news. We have such a diverse portfolio right now. So it's a really exciting time to be a part of this company. And then, this is what I kind of like to talk about. The business units, you can go learn about all those online, go to rtx.com. But this is one of the main reasons that I decided to join Raytheon is one, I love defense because I spent my whole life in the military. So it's just natural for me, or it felt natural for me to still, I feel like I'm still defending our country every day and supporting the warfighter. And that was very important to me as a veteran, because I felt like that was something that I lost when I retired, transitioned out, was that. So, these are our values. They resonated with me. They were very important. And as I was doing my interviews, I saw these values coming out in the leaders that I was speaking to. So, and another thing is the diversity, equity, inclusion at the company it's amazing. We have great teams, really focused on it. Like Jim said, we have ERGs, employee readiness groups. We have any ERG you can imagine, and they're amazing. We do a lot with our ERGs. I'm part of the MilVet ERG. I'm one of the leaders in that for a global perspective, and it's amazing. We do just such cool stuff, and it makes it really awesome for veterans. We actually do happy hours like every Friday or every Thursday, depending on if we're working or not. We sit around at like 4 or 5 o'clock on Zoom and just hang out. There's a bunch of veterans, from vice presidents down to, guys and girls turning wrenches on the, manufacturing floor. So it's really, really awesome culture. And that was one big thing for me. And we're not going to go through, these are just our different business areas. You can kind of see what they specialize in. So the cool thing about our company is if you get tired of working in Collins, you can go to Pratt & Whitney, or you can go to Intel and Space. So you could really spend a 30-year career at our company and never do the same job within the same business area, probably for more than 2 or 3 years. So Collins, and then we got Pratt & Whitney. They do, of course, F-35, the engines for the F-35, different things like that. And you can see they're very big units, business units, 68,000, 36,000. Intel and Space, if you're in Colorado, those golf balls you see, what I call them, around Buckley, yeah, those are our golf balls. What's in them? Most of it. And then, of course, Missiles and Defense. So we're a cool company. We do a lot of innovative stuff. We're always looking for talent. We have over 7,000 openings right now, any given day or time across the United States, really across the globe. So if you're, if you want to go overseas, if you want to stay here, we have 450 facilities across just the United States. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to help you, veteran, non-veteran, doesn't matter. I like helping people get jobs. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. I put it in the chat a few minutes ago, and I'd love to help you. Thanks, Shelley.
Awesome.
I'm gonna stop sharing, right?
Okay.
Oh, you stopped me. Okay. Well, that works too.
Hold on just a second. I'm trying to get, Yvette, can you share the slides? For some reason? Oh, there we go. Okay. Let me share my screen again with you. I don't know about you as participants, but I'm kind of sitting here pinching myself going, these three professionals and friends of mine and colleagues from the past are here. And when they say they will help you, I have personally seen it. It's not just lip service. It's not just talk. So even though our numbers today aren't grand, the quality of the time that you're about to get and the quality that Jim and Theda and Tony can give them that quality back. Make sure you stay with us throughout the entire session, because now we are going to talk about some topics. Couple things. This is separate, but I personally lead a retreat to Spain and Portugal. And I am taking a group this year in September, because a lot of us are just sick of being at home and being stuck. So hopefully things will be settling in with COVID, and there will be security and no expansion of Ukraine. If you are interested, we just put this in there. Let me know. A couple of you on the site I know are interested. So here's the QR code for that. That's something I'm doing with my clients in my group. I have openings for 6 people right now. All right. This is how you connect with me. Our next session is called Unleash Your Edge. And it's about unleashing your professional edge, your interviewing edge, your development edge, whatever edge that you've kind of lost or you're stressed about. We know that you're a badass, and we know that you got to get your edge, whatever that is, back. I have a recruiter coming from Folos, which is a SaaS fintech company, and the head of HR from Gallus Detox Center. They're going to be also talking to us about unleashing your authenticity edge, whatever that might be. Okay, you guys ready to get started with this awesome panel? Did you learn something new that you didn't know about companies? I didn't know Raytheon was that big. I didn't know that Zendesk had grown so much and that DocuSign did as many things. So we don't want you to look like this cat. We want to talk to you about the realities of job searching. And if you're in the military, we're going to spin it a little bit toward that as well. So Jim, I'm going to let you start with this one. From your perspective, talk to us a little bit about what are the realities, and then I'll let Theda or Tony jump in, and we're just going to have a conversation. So for our panelists, just jump in as you see fit, and for our audience, let us know what questions you have. All right, let's go.
All right, thanks, Shelley. So I'll kick this off. So the realities of job searching. I actually hear repeatedly 4 themes from a lot of the folks that are transitioning out of the military. The first one has to do around transition timeline, and one of the common themes, there's a great quote, which is a plan doesn't survive first contact with the enemy, which is, if you think your transition is going to take so many months, think again. It's usually going to take 2 or 3 times as long. You really don't have, and we'll talk about this later, what you don't have control over is the hiring manager's timeline and schedule in that case. So that's one of the challenges, which is be prepared for the long game in that case. The second thing, which is, kind of a theme that runs throughout my book is, and this is something that shocks people, this is not about you, the candidate, the job searching. It's about me, the hiring manager. and with you lining up what you bring to the table with what I need is for a role in that case. And a lot of folks are a little surprised by that, but the reality is if you can align with my expectations and needs, you're going to progress through the job hiring process and get close to actually landing that job in that case. And then third one, which is, it's not the Bill Murray movie, but it's the Lost in Translation, which is, a lot of times this is a self-inflicted wound, which is a lot of transitioning veterans and even folks after they've transitioned and doing their second or third job hop, in that case, they have a hard time translating. What you need to do is think about your audience, speak in their terms, speak what they need to understand to resonate with them, to connect with the hiring manager. You really need to do a lot of that in that case. And then finally, the last point, which is there's no set plan, which if you do A, B, and C, you're guaranteed to get a job. There's what may work for somebody else may not work for you, and vice versa in that case. So, you got to have a multi-pronged attack in terms of attacking the job market. And my whole book, the lily pad concept, which is sometimes you may have to take a leap to a first lily pad, which then will open you up to other opportunities and get to those subsequent job opportunities. One thing I encourage people not to do is end up down what I call a career cul-de-sac, which doesn't really have any future hops after that. In that case, there's no way out, and you think ahead. Think multiple hops ahead. So I'll pause there.
I don't know about you guys, but those are amazing. Theda or Tony, any thoughts from you on the realities of the job search?
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. I think Jim hit the nail on the head, but I think the biggest thing that I see, right, and Jim has a different lens than I do because he's the hiring manager and I'm the recruiter, right? Doing this for as long as I have, the biggest thing that I have seen that really is a thorn and an Achilles heel for transitioning or even just military community members, meaning spouses, is that resume and that translation of what they've done. And really it can be something as simple, and usually is something as simple as using a thesaurus. Like instead of using the word platoon or squadron, personnel, right? Just little things like that mean all the world. That is the thing that, you got to think about, to Jim's point, your audience, and they're looking for, they're making visual or mental check marks in their brain when they're reviewing your resume, and resume reviews only take 6 seconds. That is literally the amount of time that a recruiter will view your resume. And so there are tips and tricks that you need to do to get past that first gate, right? And those are not only the translations, but little things like bold texting, that important scope and the impact that you've had on your resume, because they scan, right? So if I need somebody that has, as we think about, the people on this call, if I need someone who has SaaS background and business development background, like I want those things bold texted in your resume so I can check those things off really quickly, right? So doing those little tiny things it seems like it's the theme of today's call, is the help me, help we thing, right? From a recruiting perspective.
Yeah, so I would say the big for me is have realistic expectations, because just being a veteran is not enough, y'all. And I know that some of the people might not like that, but it's not. I mean, that's more the icing on the cake for a lot of companies. So I would say, make sure your resume is tailored, make sure you get all the jargon out, make sure you're qualified for the job. You know the companies you're applying for, and use your network. Networking is the key to success. I would say a lot of times it's about who you know. A lot of large companies, you can have 300 people on one requisition for easy. And guess who might get that job? The guy that Tony referred over, that's a veteran, or the guy that Jim said, hey, this is my neighbor's kid, and can you take a look at the resume? Because, like Theda said, as a recruiter, we'll look at your resume 7-8 seconds, but, with a referral, I might take a few more seconds, or it just, make sure you're networking, have realistic expectations. Don't just depend on being a veteran. It's not enough, but it is a definite added benefit on your resume. So make sure you really highlight your skills, not just depend on that.
I'm going to add some things here. Yvette is going to put in 2 resume writers that we work with here in Colorado that have worked very much with non-veterans, veterans, military, and spouses. They are amazing. They are power partners for us. So we have used them. I have used them for many of my clients. Making sure that you do translate what you've done, what Theda and Tony said is vital. Because so many times, as I have looked at resumes coming out of the military, they all look the same. They all sound the same. Don't get me wrong, TAP programs are wonderful, but they're not, the resumes that come out of them are not differentiated enough, and it needs to be specified. Your LinkedIn needs to be optimized. And I know it's hard, but come to as many events like this as you can so that you start hearing the vernacular of corporate America versus military vernacular and verbiage. It's really important because the words we use, the acronyms, for example, ERG, Employee Readiness Group. We also call it an affinity group or an employee resource group. These are groups that are for veterans, for women, for Hispanic, Latino, Asian, LGBTQIA, whatever. Get to know people in your ERG or your affinity group at specific companies, and however you do it, find people at the companies that can refer you. Theda just put in 65 to 80% are networking. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit more. Our next topic is you got to embrace the suck. So Theda, what does that mean in a job search or for veterans? What does that mean to embrace the suck?
Embracing the suck means that it means a couple different things. Number one, it means it's not going to happen on your first try. You're going to have to be patient, and you're going to have to probably put forth a few maybe even a couple of handfuls of different applications, and it's going to suck. I think waiting, to Jim's point earlier, waiting for the hiring manager's timeline is sucky in itself, right? So embracing all of the things that come with job searching, knowing that it's going to take some time, knowing that, you know, to Jim's point again, he made a fantastic point, having your timeline and timesing that by 2 by 3 is really what you're really going to have to do. And for a lot of people, embracing the suck is networking. A lot of people hate networking. They're not, see, I'm opposite. I love getting to know people. I'll talk to anybody. I'll make friends everywhere I go. My husband makes fun of me because I will make friends everywhere. And so, but that is really hard for a lot of people. But you have to push through that. You have to come to these things. You have to go to in-person networking events because, like I said, long gone are the days where you put forth an application and you get a phone call. It is all about who you know now. And networking is not just a one-touch thing. It's a job. Finding a job is a full-time job.
Yeah.
And so, you know, networking is something, it's not just connecting with me on LinkedIn and leaving it at that. And then, you know, 9 months down the road saying, hey, we're connected on LinkedIn. I found this role. Can you refer me? I'm going to be like, who are you? Right? Like, absolutely, I'll refer you. But like that, I can't go to bat for you because I don't know you. Right? So it's meeting those people, it's following up, it's building that relationship, it's coming to multiple of these networking events, not just through CO career connectors, but other things that are locally or nationally, and getting your face repeatedly in front of these people because the recruiters will go to the same things, right? We're typically aligned to either a business unit or a region or both. So you'll see the same people at these things. And so that can be pretty sucky for people. So it's the timeline, it's the perseverance that's needed, it's the networking that's needed. I had a guy that I hired at Amazon that had 39 applications and it took 1.5 years. And on his 39th, we got him a job. He got the role. He was super happy, but he is the epitome of perseverance. He never let it get him down. You just got to be patient and you got to work the system, play the hand that's in front of you, and just embrace it. It sucks, but it will pay off. You just got to be persistent.
Yeah, there's nobody's going to do it for you. I mean, that's really the, you know, it's you just gotta suck it up and drive on. You know, just like they kind of tell us in the military. You don't get frustrated to the point where you're using the same resume to apply for 100 jobs. You know, the key to it, if you're going to waste your time applying for a job, make sure you tailor it to the qualifications. That is so important. If you don't get anything else, and that sucks having to tailor your resume for every job you apply to. But I'm telling you, you're better off applying for 5 jobs with a tailored resume than going on Amazon or Raytheon or Lockheed and applying to 100 jobs with the same stinking resume. You're not going to get any results. I mean, you might luck across something, but probably not. And if you're depending on just applying to a job site, not using a referral, you better do everything you have in your power to get that resume seen. And the first step is tailoring it. So, and it's not fun, but it's necessary.
Yeah, I want to bring up something that a stat that Tony brought up before, which is the 8-second. And it's not like the 3-second rule where you drop something on the floor and you have 3 seconds to pick it up before you shouldn't eat it type of thing. The 8-second rule is real in terms of your resume, which is the recruiters, and I'll talk even a little bit after this, that first 1/3 of your first page, if that doesn't resonate with the recruiter, with the hiring manager, it's gone, it's passed on. But even like large companies like Raytheon, Comcast, other companies like that, and Zendesk starting using more, there's what's called an ATS that's sitting between you and even getting to the recruiter and stuff like that. There's a set of machines out there that are screening your resume, and getting by those is tough. And so, one of the things that Tony and Theda both brought up is networking, referraling in, working your way around that gauntlet of machines that's just protecting you, because protecting the recruiters from getting overwhelmed, protecting the hiring manager from getting overwhelmed from that case. Give you a perfect example. I did over 300 interviews last year for 24 positions. So you work backwards from that. The recruiter I worked with was doing twice as many screenings as me for 3 times as many customers in that case. That funnel is huge, but it all leads to, the quote, the Highlander, there can only be one at the end of the day type of thing. But again, you have, 1,000 people, 250 maybe actually apply. Of those, maybe 100 are actually getting, get to the gauntlet. Maybe half of those get through the gauntlet and actually are looked at by a recruiter, and then it goes down from there. So, it's a slog in that case, but people do get hired. And so, Tony's spot on. If you don't, tell your resume to the physicians and take the time to do it, speak their language, talk how they do. One of the things I've actually found to do is a useful exercise. Take the job description, run it through a word cloud, take your resume, run it through a word cloud. Did they overlap? Is there any similarity? If there's not, guess what? Maybe it's the Venn diagram. It's maybe not connecting in that case.
Jim just said something really important that, can I have 15 seconds just to hammer home, because I don't want to skip over it. Jim, you just said something that is imperative to getting past that first, not only the companies that do use ATSs, because not all of them do, but a lot of them do, but also the recruiters, is that first half a page, if not first page, is your lifeline. And so you need to have the important pieces of information that you want the recruiter and the hiring managers to see: the education, the skills, what are you bringing to the table, right? Your most recent employment, and then your kind of summary, right? And remember what I said earlier, those bold texted in things, the scope and the impact that you've had are going to be key. That's the key to the keyhole, right? And so that is so important. I don't want to skip over that, is that don't have your education on the last page. Put that on the front. All those things that are important as you're reading that job description that are called out, not only basic qualifications, but the majority of the preferred as well. Jim can talk to this too. They have preferred qualifications. And when we're talking about basic versus preferred, every hiring manager wants the unicorn, wants somebody that's going to hit every single one of those things. And we as recruiters take that and we do the best that we can to find that unicorn. Does it happen all the time? No, but we get as close as we can. So don't ignore the preferred qualifications. Just know that the basic are non-negotiables, and you want to try and have the majority of the preferred, right? And all those things need to be communicated.
Can I add one thing and then we can move on real quick? Treat the top of your resume like that. I would say have a professional summary if you have one. Treat it like the back of a book. You pick it up, you look at it, you're like, oh, that's interesting. You'll probably open the inside cover, look at it. You might buy the book. So treat that top part of your resume like the back of a book. That's your 5 seconds to catch someone's attention, to keep them reading through your resume. So keep that in mind. Summary.
That top half of that resume is the most important piece of real estate that you have. Absolutely. So you got to embrace the suck. And when you have bad days, it's okay to have a bad day. You just can't pitch a tent in the valley of despair. You got to keep going and call a friend, have an accountability partner, find someone in this community that you trust, It's okay to have a bad day, but you don't want to let it go on for weeks, etc. Then your timeline won't just be doubled, it'll be quadrupled. Okay, let's go to the next topic, biases of a job search. Tony, why don't you start off with this one for us?
Biases of a job search. So the bias of the candidate or the recruiter, because there's two different sides here.
Why don't you talk about both and we'll see where the conversation goes.
Okay, so bias as a recruiter, they drill it into your head to have none. Like we have things inside of our ATS where we'll take your name off there. It'll basically just, it'll bring it down to just your information, because that's, we want to hire, because a lot of us have internal biases we never even know of that are just ingrained in us and we don't even realize it. And the same for companies. So I'm biased. I look at veterans. I'll tell you that. I love veterans and I'll be, ooh, he's a veteran. But that's just, so that's my bias. But we do have things to take those like names out, locations, even companies a lot of times, because I get biased. Like, ooh, can I steal someone from Lockheed? Or, ooh, can I steal them from Comcast? Yeah. So we do as much as we can to pull that bias out. But from a candidate perspective, you have to be careful, because your bias, you're like, I don't want to work for defense people. They're shooting missiles and blowing it up. But you know what I mean? Or I don't want to work for Comcast because they do cable. You know, you got it. There's so many things that companies do, like Microsoft, someone, you know, I don't have any computer skills. Well, we have supply chain, we have logistics, you know, or I don't want to go work at Home Depot. Well, they've got a supply chain that's probably larger than the GDP of some small companies, you know. So just keep in mind, don't look at a company's name and just automatically like, oh, no, I can't work there, or I can't work at Raytheon. I'm not an engineer. I'm not either. Y'all hear me? I'm not an engineer. I'm HR. So just don't let your initial bias of a company or an industry turn you off, because you could be missing a lot of great opportunities. And that's how I'll start it.
So I'll add to that. One of my favorite quotes is, if you have a brain, you're biased. So I think all of us are biased in some way in that case. So purely from a hiring manager perspective, I shouldn't have biases, but guess what? They do exist. They do bubble up. And stuff like, for example, I saw one stat, 56% of hiring managers are biased by the appearance of the candidate in that case. Whether we want to admit it or not, it has direct influence on our hiring decision in that case. And Tony brings up another great one, which is they call it the affinity or similarity bias, which is I am comfortable. And this also goes to the zero risk bias, which is nobody gets fired for buying IBM. Nobody gets fired for buying somebody that's like me. That's very, you know, the hiring managers tend to kind of move towards individuals that are very like them, and they're very similar like them in that case. So there's always that challenge, which is, this goes back to some of the things we touched on before, which is the more you sound like them, the more you appear like them, the more you fit in the culture, the more you're going to overcome those negative biases and help you take advantage of the positive biases, which is, well, they're like me, you know, definitely, you know, I'm interested in speaking with this person more. And as you know, obviously looking at veterans, there's a direct connection, there's correlation. I can relate to veterans, just like Tony mentioned, he relates to veterans, and definitely there's a bias there because we know what we're getting from veterans.
I'll jump in real quick just to round it out. So I think it's important to note that, you know, this is a very scary topic, and it can be for the job seekers, right? You know, you hear all these things, you know, from us and the recruiters and hiring managers admitting that we have biases, because that's human, right? But also on the flip side of that, know that we take very, very long or very extended lengths to make sure that we are trying not to let those things impact our decisions. We have trainings, you know, we have, to Tony's point, we take out all of the biased information when we're recruiting on different ATSs and systems and CLMs. But also from the job seeker side of the fence, don't give individuals at companies, whether it be super junior recruiters or otherwise, ammo to have biases about you. You know, think about the things that you're putting out into the world in LinkedIn, right? You know, I heard one time having somebody on, you know, from a military standpoint, and they have their military uniform on, can create a bias. So think about your audience, right? Think about, don't give them extra ammo. Don't have your dress blues on or your military uniform on in your LinkedIn picture. On the same token, don't be drinking a handle of vodka on your LinkedIn picture. Like, don't give anybody any more ammo than what they just naturally as a human have, right? Because we as TA professionals are trained to have that in the front of our minds to make sure we're not being biased, or we're trying not to be biased, right? So just don't give any more extra ammo to that, right? And the same thing goes from your side of the coin as job seekers as well. Tony made a good point about don't discount any company because you're not an engineer or you're not an extrovert, right? There's a million different things within companies. Like, you have to think about a company is ran not just by X person, right? There's lots of things that go into running any company. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to military service members that were like, I never thought about working for X company. I'm not that person, right? You need to try everybody and have those conversations, because you'll never know. Never in a million years would I have thought I'd be in the position that I am today. In 2012, if you would have asked me, did you know, if you would have told me in 10 years, did you know that you would be, running global programs for military recruitment for a big company like Amazon? No, I would have said you're crazy, right? So you just never know. So there's two sides of the coin on it, but just, I think the moral of that statement is don't give anybody extra bias than we already have, and that we're trying to make sure that we're not being biased from our end.
There's a lot we could bring out on just this topic. So I want to make sure that we talk about this subject, because 85% of jobs are found through the hidden job market. And as veterans, spouses, or military, or non-veterans, most of the way my clients get their jobs is through the hidden job market. So Theda, I see you shaking your head on this one. Why don't you talk about the importance of this and what it means and how people have approached you for positions?
Yeah, so when I hear the word or the statement, the hidden job market, I think about the recruiter's lens, right? Because we often know things that are coming down the pipeline before anybody else does, right? Because we know headcount, we know this, we know that. And you got to also know that if you're a really, really great candidate, if a recruiter's saying to you, hey, it wasn't a good fit for this job right now, but I'm going to keep you on the bench. We have literally like an Excel spreadsheet of people that are a great fit for our company, but it's just not the right time right now for whatever reason. And we'll call you later, right? So that's kind of the hidden job market to me, is knowing things that aren't even posted yet. And that's, again, comes right back to the importance of networking, right? Can't tell you how many times I've worked with I have two in mind right now, specific military veterans that I've been working with for a while, trying to find them the right spot. And I know things that are coming down the line before they're even posted or put out into the world. And I have those people as like my number one person that I'm going to send to that hiring manager the minute they let me know that they're looking for this person in Q3, right? And so we have a pipeline as recruiters. We have a pipeline ahead of jobs that are even that aren't even created yet. And when we have these conversations with our hiring managers about in Q3, I want to hire 7 BDMs, business development managers. I'm like, great, I have 15 people right here from my last BDM that I recruited for last year. Here's some resumes. That way, going into that, we already have a pipeline, right? That's the hidden job market. So again, networking, getting your face out there, making sure your LinkedIn is up to date and you have all of your skills on there. That your LinkedIn should be a living, breathing document of your resume and your skills. Don't just start it and never go back to it. Because I'll tell you right now, as recruiters and hiring managers, I have hiring managers that will source for me. They go to LinkedIn, right? I use a different ATS system in addition to LinkedIn. You have to keep that stuff up too. That is your master resume. That is something you don't have to tailor, is your LinkedIn. Master resume 100% of the time. So that networking is a big part of the hidden job market.
I think, let me share a great example, which is my career arc. I've made 9 transitions since I left the military, 5 of which I never applied for the jobs. So I was one, I actually got introduced across a poker table. Another one, I followed another manager over to another opportunity. The second one, I followed another manager, introduced me into an organization. My current position I'm in at today, they didn't ask for my resume until they were scheduling the interviews. In that case, I was actually hunted down on LinkedIn. So Theda brings up a great point, which is, and I actually have recruiters now that are going out. I tell them, go chase these people down at these type of companies. These are the folks I'm looking for. And they go on an active hunt in that case. So, and they're going to find you on LinkedIn. And that's a huge, huge point, which is LinkedIn is kind of your lifeline to getting into these referrals and networking and build it in that case. And another thing I've actually done is I've actually talked to candidates and said, hey, you're not quite a good fit for me. And I've actually introduced them to another hiring manager. And I told this other hiring manager, hire them. I'm going to come poach them in a year. And I actually did that. And so, which is, it's because great, we all win overall because we all help the overall mission of the organization. And it also helps to create a career path for those individuals. So again, it's just a huge opportunity. And I love that stat. It's spot on. 60 to 85% of the jobs are placed through this hidden job market.
So, and I just want to add two quick things. So one, recruiters are the gatekeepers, y'all. You need to connect with recruiters on LinkedIn, send them kind of personal message, whether that's, maybe you should do some research on like how to search LinkedIn. That could be a whole nother class. But, a recruiter that went to the same college as you or some interest, connect with a recruiter, because a hiring manager, I know with my ATS, will not even see a resume until the recruiter's vetted it and forwarded it to the manager. So that's the first part. So connect with recruiters on LinkedIn for companies you would like to work for or industries you would like to be a part of. Second thing is, here's the hidden job market to me is, if you say you want to work for Raytheon and you're like, okay, go do some research and see if they have an employee referral program, because now you're giving that employee some incentive to refer you. Be like, hey, Wayne Crawford, I'm interested in this job. Can you, I heard that Raytheon does $5,000 referral bonus. Can you refer me to this job? And now Wayne's getting 5 G's if you get hired. And now you're getting that referral. So sometimes you gotta persuade people. Maybe you should talk to Wayne and get to know him a little bit, but that's always a little extra kick. Like, oh wow, maybe Wayne doesn't even know that Raytheon has a referral program, because sometimes they don't. So use that to your advantage. Look at these companies' referral programs, find employees, typically outside of HR, because HR, you're not getting paid for referrals or we'd all be rich right now. So find a manager, or find someone that's a software engineer that same thing as you, and ask them to refer you, and then they get that money and you get a job. So,
and on that same note, like, I think you make a good point. Not only finding the people that work there in the same role that you want to work in, but also follow those companies on social media, because the first place companies will advertise or hiring for something is on their LinkedIn. So follow whatever company on LinkedIn. On their social medias, every big company has like an Instagram, a Facebook, and even Twitter. Twitter is like the biggest place where, or at least it was a few years ago, where companies will post, hey, I'm hiring for a software engineer, right? In addition to LinkedIn. So if you're really serious about working for the Raytheons or the whatevers of the world, you need to be following those verified accounts on social media as well. That's a huge part of the hidden job market.
We could have a whole session on the hidden job market. One of my clients, he was the COO of a medium-sized tech company, and through the hidden job market, in 3 months, he found a national sales program manager for a international global business that was obviously much bigger. He never would have heard of that unless he knew people. So this is why we do these communities. All of you put in your LinkedIn profiles, connect with everyone. I'm just looking at the time. I want to make sure that we get to some other topics. Control is an illusion. You have no control in the job search, or even if you are currently working for advancement. So just knowing that what you do have control over are all of these nuggets that Theda and Jim and Anthony, I can't believe I called you Tony, you're talking about. Just think about, and Jim, you had brought this topic up, so I'll just have Jim talk a little bit about what his thought here was.
Yeah, so really quick. So, make sure you understand what you can control. You can control, to points that Theda and Anthony made, your resume aligning with the position. You can control in terms of your network and building and grooming your network. I see a network as a garden. You have to constantly groom it. You have to constantly attend to it and make sure that you're growing it and connecting to the right people. And then you can control your brand, which we'll talk about this a little bit, social media, things like that, how you come across online, make it consistent, so people can easily find you. That's one of my pet peeves is I can't find somebody on LinkedIn because their link doesn't work, or they don't give me the right link, or there's 20 Michael Joneses out there, or like 20,000 Michael Joneses. So,
Have a professional picture on LinkedIn. That is such a huge pet peeve of mine as a recruiter as well. We go out and we look at pipelining in LinkedIn or what the other ATS and portal that Theda uses. You've got to have a professional and not one that shows your hat backwards and is like, yo, bro, nothing like that, right? Not in your military outfit. We want to see you as a professional, and you do have control over that. Okay, the common sense of the search. Theda, what 2 nuggets of information would you give? Common sense, and then we'll go Tony and Jim.
Oh man, common sense of the job search. Wow. Okay. So number one, knowing your own realm of expertise. And that means not going for VP jobs when you're an entry-level person, right? Like, let's be real for a second. All right. And vice versa. I have seen a retired officer go for entry level, and they've done the same thing in the military for 20 years. That is 20 years of experience that you're just throwing out the window. So be honest with yourself about the capabilities and the things that you can bring to this company and at what level. That's number one. And number two, and I know this is very much directed towards military at this moment, but knowing that, to Tony's point earlier, like we love veterans, but that doesn't guarantee you anything. Knowing that just because you were a full bird colonel in the Marine Corps doesn't entitle you to an SVP role in the private sector. When you separate from the military and you've been in for 10 plus years, you have to think about it as you're going back to boot camp. I'm not saying sell yourself short, but you are now pivoting from something totally different than what you've been used to and comfortable in for the past 10 plus years, 10, 15, 20 years. So just know that, and know that, while you may be a lieutenant colonel or whatever in the military, you're probably going to have to take a step or two back to get your feet planted and be successful in yourself. What you don't want to do is go laterally, because you're just going to set yourself up for failure.
Yeah. And I would say, and I'll tell you this, common sense, no one cares what rank you are. No one cares. No one cares you were a colonel or sergeant major. I don't care. I had a mentor. So I was a sergeant first class in the Army. I was not a colonel. And I just got off a mentor call with a 2-star general that is struggling. Okay. No one cares. You could be an E3, E4, private. It doesn't matter. Don't let that hold you back either. Because a lot of veterans are like, well, I was just a specialist. Okay, I've hired E3 or E4 over a sergeant major any day. There's 2 things that it comes down to. Be humble and be a team player. Because Chelle hired me and I needed a job, and I was like, I came as an entry-level recruiter at Lockheed Martin. I was humble, I was a team player, and I promoted 4 times in 3 years. Mm-hmm. So that's the 2 things. Humility, and that seems like common sense, but when you're a veteran, all it takes is one little thing, because people are scared of veterans sometimes. They're a little cocky. They might be conceited. They might have PTSD, and all it takes is a little cockiness or a little of that rank to come out as you're in an interview. We're like, they might be a little too much. So be humble, be a team player, leave your rank at the door. When you get out, no one cares.
So I'll just bring up 2 things, which is, first one is I love the definition of insanity: doing the same thing, expecting different results. Which is, if your job searching techniques are not working, change it up. Because guess what? If you keep doing the same thing and expecting you're going to get someplace, you're not in that case. So be aware if you're not getting the results, and you may never hear back. So they're going to get rejected, and guess what? You never hear in that case. And then the second item bring up, which is the worst analogy I can come up with, but it seems to work, which is the dog show analogy. So if you ever watch the dog show and wonder why the bulldog can beat out the poodle and the whippets, why the whippets, which is one right there, is always winning the dog shows, it's because they're judged against the standard. They're not judged against each other. And as a candidate, you need to align. Don't worry about the competition. That's something you can't control. What you need to do is, how do you align against the standard of what the hiring manager is looking for? And if more you align there, the more successful you'll be in terms of actually getting farther along in that process.
Okay, I'm going to ask that we go to breakout rooms, because this topic, we could go on till 2. If you had questions in the chat, please ask them in the breakout rooms. One of the questions is, how do we start an ERG? I know that Theda is starting an ERG. I've started ERGs. Tony, Jim are all involved with that. Any questions that you may have, ask in these breakout rooms. So Yvette, let's go ahead and set them up. And you can choose what breakout room you'd like to go to. Again, please stay with us. We will come back at 1:25. We will let you know that this is being recorded. This will be sent to you. Everybody's contact information, Jim, Theda, and Tony, will be sent to you. I know a couple of you already have things set up with our panelists. That's awesome. I love that. So Yvette, I'm going to turn it over to you, and let's get going with the breakout rooms.
Great. I am opening the rooms now. Jim, Theda, Tony, you each have your own. Chelle will be in the main room. So if you want to talk to her or have questions about something different, you can stay in with her, and I'm going to open it up now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette.
You're welcome.